Diane again here. It is day 5 of the 30 Days, 30 Authors Challenge. I'm sitting in front of this old camper that's at my house because I'm trying to be close to where the router is outside. I've noticed that a couple of the videos, it seems that the video is lagging behind the audio and it looks really weird to me, so I'm trying to fix that. Let me know if it worked. So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite book. And it probably isn't what you expect. This is my favorite book. That's all turned around. Huh. Well, okay, just a second then. We're going to do this, so you can look at it properly. There it is. That is my favorite book. Not what you expected, is it? But that's because if you haven't read this book, this is not what you expect. You're probably thinking in your head, oh, wait a minute, wasn't that some creepy kids cartoon about rabbits? Okay, sort of. But what it actually is, it's a breakdown of the Campbellian monomyth, The Hero's Journey, in the form of a book where the main characters are rabbits. But of course, the rabbits are, in a way, metaphors for different parts of humanity. Each character plays an archetypical role that appears in different myths all over the world. Although, to be fair, Richard Adams does not treat them like people. He is very careful to define the needs of a rabbit and how those differ from the needs of a person, and says a little bit about their physiology and their social organization, as well as expanding upon it and creating his own culture and legends that are specific to the bunnies. So, awesome. And these are not your cuddly, cute, little timid rabbits either. These are heroic characters who do awesome things. I read this book about once every 5 to 7 years, which is why I finally invested in a hardcover, because my paperback got read to tatters. I discovered it when I was 10. And every time I read it, I learn something new, and there's something different that I didn't pick up the last time because I did not have the sufficient level of maturity to understand that additional element. I'm about due for another reread, and I'll probably do that closer to the end of the year. So, that's my favorite book. But they didn't ask about my favorite series. I'm not going to go into as much detail about those, but I am going to kind of do an overview of the series of books that I consider to be my favorites. So, my favorite series as a child was this one. This is The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. It is a 5-book series that's kind of it draws upon Arthurian legends and kind of makes them happen again in the modern time. I suspect that if you asked J.K. Rowling, she would probably tell you that she was strongly influenced by these books. The characters are British. It centers around a group of, normal kids and a character who is, there's these beings who are born immortal and with some sorcerer's powers known as the Old Ones, and nobody knows when or how or why they're born, but in one particular case it's because he's the 7th son of a 7th son, and he is the main character of this particular book, which was the first one I read, although it's not the first one in the series. Really awesome stuff. Really enjoy it. You want to introduce your kids to Arthurian legends? This is the way to do it. And if you have kids who are into things like Harry Potter and the Hunger Games and Percy Jackson, and they're running out of stuff to read, you can point them in this direction, and you can point them towards Lloyd Alexander's Black Cauldron and the series of books surrounding that. So, now, I think this is probably easier here. This is my favorite space opera series. This is Lois McMaster Bujold's Vorkosigan Saga, and this book is currently out of print in this hardcover form. I love it. It's like a precious treasure of mine. This cover refers to a particular story in it called Mountains of Mourning, and why I love it is because Bujold's hero is a very smart, disabled man named Miles Vorkosigan, who is resourceful and cunning and is a hero because of his wits. So really, really good stuff. She deals with prejudice, she deals with ableism, she deals with whether it's better to be peaceful or military-minded, and the answers may surprise you. Really good stuff. Definitely a strong influence of mine. My favorite action-adventure series. If you have seen the movie Master and Commander, you've seen an attempt to, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. That was an attempt to kind of meld and adapt two of the books in the series. Patrick O'Brian is considered to be the authoritative nautical fiction writer. This is all about the British Royal Navy and a pair of friends who are, one of them's a Navy captain, the other one is the ship's surgeon, and they get into trouble in the Napoleonic Wars. And you could read it either way. You could either read it as the one character's story or the other character's story. He gives equal attention to both. So, if you are into space opera, adventure, naval fiction, or military fiction, you need to put this one on your list. And last but not least, Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. This is book 4.5, for those of you who may not know, and he wrote it after the other 7, and it takes place right between book 4 and book 5. So, I really love this one. I don't know. The Dark Tower is like the quintessential fantasy, in that everything I like about fantasy is present in it. He doesn't explain everything, but there's enough gritty realism in it to make you believe in the characters. I think it could probably be considered dark fantasy, so if you're into that, it's cool. And yeah, it's obviously a big influence on me. So those are my favorite books. Yes, I know, I was supposed to only do one. If I had to do one, hands down, it would be Watership Down. I have read that book more than any other book. But if you're taking overall book series, those are some of my favorites. So those are my recommendations if you're looking for stuff to read, and those of you who read my stuff may see the influences of these different writers on my own writing. And why wouldn't I be doing that? So, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye!